Hey, it's Soleil, and here's another episode of the Red Pilled Orange Pill Investor. This should be number 5. And maybe real quick, I'll just talk about why I'm calling it that. Um, Red Pill is obviously from The Matrix, and to me, it's just once you start seeing the world as it is and uh, act accordingly. So whatever if when it relates to investing, it would just be whatever you can do that works. So I really don't care what the strategy is, I guess, as long as it's legal. And none of this is financial advice since I'm not a financial advisor. But if a strategy works, then you execute that strategy. And I like Orange Pill because I guess I would be considered a Bitcoin maximalist at this point. But a lot of maximalists will just buy and hold Bitcoin, and I enjoy trading in the stock market a little too much for that. So I decided to put out a series and discuss the stock trades that I make for myself with a bit of a Bitcoin mindset. I think there's something happens when you start kind of understanding what Bitcoin really is, that a lot of other things start falling in place. There's even a book called Fiat Food that was featured on, I can't remember the author's name. It was featured on Safety Namus's channel. I think he actually published it. He's got a publishing company called The Safe House or something like that. And it's about kind of a little inside scoop on how our nutrition, at least in the United States, has gone to hell. And you only start kind of picking up on some of these insights once you embrace Bitcoin as a uncorruptible, sound, fair money that will probably take over the world in a good way. So that's the idea behind the name. Anyway, if anyone gives a shit. So this is one thing that I decided. So what I do is I buy 100 shares of stock, then I sell covered calls against it. I use the premium to buy more shares of the stock. So no matter what the price of the stock does, I'm constantly accumulating more shares of it. And I decided to just ask Grok what would happen if you buy 100 shares of stock and then sell a covered call, collecting 1% premium, and then use that premium to purchase an additional share of stock every week. How many shares of stock will I have after 1 year? Now, I think, even though that got kind of long, I think probably most middle schoolers could figure this out. You got 100 and then you buy one a week for 52 weeks, you're going to have 152. But Grok figured it out as well. So if you use that $100 to buy an additional share every week, you'll purchase 52 additional shares over the course of the year. So at the end of the year, you'll have 152 shares of the stock. So congratulations, Grok. You grokked what I'm saying here. And the beauty of this is, if somebody buys 100 shares of stock and you buy 100 shares of stock, and then at the end of the year, regardless of what the price of the stock is, if you have 152 shares and they still have 100, you're probably going to do better than them. I'm just guessing. Now, of course, this doesn't necessarily work if the price of the stock goes over the strike that you pick. You're not going to be able to pick up an extra share that week. However, if the price of the stock stays the same for a year, you're still going to have 52 more shares. So you're up 50%, which beats the hell out of the S&P. And technically, you could actually do this with the S&P. So you can buy 100 shares of the S&P, and they actually have 3 expirations a week. You're not going to get 1% every time, most likely, maybe a half. But you could still, that's still 1.5 a week. And I used to do it. I really don't trade the S&P anymore just because I don't think they have as much upside as the two assets that I trade, which are Bitcoin. Uh, I will trade the Bitcoin ETF most likely if it has weekly options calls. For now, I trade all the mining stocks. Not all the mining stocks. I trade like three mining stocks and MicroStrategy, and I trade Tesla. So my two assets are Bitcoin and Tesla, and within the Bitcoin umbrella, I'm including derivatives like mining stocks and MSTR. So if the price of your stock stays the same, you're going to have 152% of where you started, even if the price of the stock doesn't change at all for the year. If the price of the stock would have to go down by 33% in order to actually not make anything. And it would have to decrease by more than 33% to actually have less than you started with. So that's the strategy. This strategy is not about maximizing your profits when I guess a good example of something that I wouldn't necessarily use this on would be a pharmaceutical company that is either going to crash 75% if their trial doesn't go through, or it's going to go up 500% if the trial passes with flying colors. Or what? That's probably not what you're maybe a good. It's not a good candidate for selling weekly covered calls. I mean, if the premium is good enough, I probably would trade, sell covered calls on anything. You're just in that scenario, you're probably sacrificing too much upside. Seems like the whole point of getting into a pharmaceutical stock is really just playing the lottery. If you want to go to the corner store and get a lottery ticket, or else put that money on some pharmaceutical stock that's going to save 1 million lives or something, or else go bankrupt if it doesn't work. That's how I think about that. So yeah, Tasty Trade is the one that taught me that principle. The point of limiting your upside is to give yourself a greater chance of success. And I look at this, if I sell a covered call and get 1% premium, I kind of consider that getting a discount. You can immediately get an extra 1% in your pocket. And a lot of these Bitcoin mining stocks, you can easily get more than 1% a week. So, and I've discussed critical mass in the past as well, but once you get up to 10,000 shares of stock, you're not just buying one share a week, you're buying 100 shares, and then you're selling an extra covered call. So you're not just getting extra shares every week, you're getting extra shares that you can then sell another covered call, and then you sell one more covered call, which means you get to buy one more extra share. So you're not just buying 100 shares a week, you're buying 101 shares a week, and then the next time you're buying 102 shares and 103. So that's when it almost works out kind of like compound interest. Now, it's probably not practical to expect to actually get the full 52 shares. And the reason I say that is because if the price of the stock is fairly close to the strike price that you pick, you're going to be very happy about that because the overall value of your account is going to go up, but you may have to buy that contract back instead of just buying it back for a penny. So that week you might not be able to afford an additional share. And the other thing that I've started not doing lately is carrying a covered call over an earnings call, especially if it's something that I believe in, like a Tesla or a MicroStrategy, where I'm expecting, because I believe in the stock, I expect that earnings will surprise to the upside more than it will surprise to the downside. So, I think Tesla's coming up sometime later this month after the close, and I will take my covered calls off that day and put them back the next day. So it's not even that I'm taking the whole week off. I'm taking off like 4 days a year. So in that sense, I mean, you could end up with 52. But even when something expires worthless, if you want to open and close all your trades at once and just make it quick, I mean, I only trade 2 assets, so I can do it fairly quickly. But on a Friday, I don't take more than 30 minutes to do the whole week's trading, and I can't help myself. So I'm in the market every day of the week. But and sometimes I'll do little things midweek. If a price really spikes, I might take some profits on something. And if something dips really hard in midweek, I may use some buying power and buy the dip. But for the most part, if you just want to do the cover call strategy, no more than 30 minutes every Friday. But so you're technically not letting that call expire worthless. So you would have to like buy it back for a penny. So there's a little bit of friction built in here. So you know 52 additional shares a year might not be completely realistic, but so like I said, some of these mining stocks you can get 2%. So in certain instances, 100 shares extra a year might be realistic. We'll take a look at a couple of them pretty soon. But for now, let me just go ahead and ask Grok a couple of things. Let's see, what is red pill? Let's see if Grok's red pill originated from the Matrix, various context, politics, dating, and self-improvement. Some view the red pill as a way to break free from societal expectations and discover one's true potential. Others see it as a call to action to challenge the status quo and fight for a more just world. However, it's important to be aware that the red pill concept has always been co-opted by some groups to promote extreme ideologies. Ultimately, the red pill is about making a conscious decision to seek truth and authenticity, even if it means facing uncomfortable realities. Okay, I like it. I said it. Grok said it better than I could have. So what is orange pill? I should have left the typo in there. See if Grok understands typos. Orange pill is a term that's gained popularity in recent years, particularly in the context of urban planning and Bitcoin. Not sure what and how urban planning has to do with it. It has multiple meanings depending on the context. Holy crap, we got a whole paragraph. Okay, good. I don't have to ask a follow-up question of what does urban planning have anything to do with it, but taking the orange pill refers to a realization that car-dependent cities and infrastructure are problematic. It's a reference to the YouTube channel, Not Just Bikes, and it focuses on walkability and transit. I don't mind the idea, but I think central planning is the devil. So we'll put a pin in that for now. In the Bitcoin community, the orange pill represents an individual's acceptance of Bitcoin as the future of currency. It's a play on the red pill, blue pill concept from the Matrix, where the orange pill represents a belief in Bitcoin's potential to become the world's financial reserve asset. The term has also been used in other contexts, such as in discussions about systemic whitewashing and the Matrix. Really, systemic whitewashing, okay. Where the red pill is considered to be black, symbolizing a wake-up call to the whitewashing happening around us. Okay, I didn't realize I was missing out on that wokeness, but that's fine. In conclusion, the orange pill represents a shift in thinking and a new perspective on various topics from urban planning to Bitcoin and beyond. All right, cool. That's fine. I'm happy with the name and what Grok thinks it means. So let's take a look at the strategy. Here we go. We got Tesla, and this is Robinhood. A lot of people clown Robinhood. It's kind of like the basic bitch of trading, But, and I'm not even sure. I think they were charging me for some trades now, but originally it was like no fee trading. So I don't even know. I trade here. I trade on Tasty Trade. Used to trade on Webull. I hate the user interface on Webull, but maybe it's just because I wasn't used to it. But big props to them because I think they were doing no fee trading as well. But you buy 100 shares of Tesla. If you bought them today for $238, you could sell. You could almost sell the 245, but that wouldn't quite get you 1%. So you'd have to sell the 240, 250 for next week. Now that only gives you a call away value of about 2%. So 1% of 237 is 2.37, which that's around 250. So 250 would get you to 240. Another 250 would get you to 242.5. So this strike would get you potentially 2% of call away value. Call away value just means the difference between the current price and the strike price that you pick, which is the potential upside that you would gain in your account if the price goes up to your strike. The premium that you would receive would be $308, and you could buy another share of Tesla. And then you'd have, what, you'd still have like $70 left over. Let's check out the SPY. All right. I know I'm not talking to everybody here. I promise I'll get to some cheaper stocks. But you buy 100 shares of the SPY, it's going to cost you $47,000 approximately. And, oh, yeah, January 8th. So really, this is just one day. It says 3 days here, but Saturday and Sunday the market's closed. So this is just one day of premium. You're not going to get 1% here. But I see a lot of covered call videos recommend approximately a 0.3 delta, which is not refreshing here. But it's generally around like this 80%. Wait, my chance of profits are missing as well. Okay, this is lame. I don't know if I refresh if these will actually populate. Oh, I think maybe it's just it's not refreshing. Okay. That's unfortunate. But if we sell, you know, 472 for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get $11 for 1 day of premium. It's not much, and this is why I don't trade it anymore. Is there a holiday? Why is there an 8th and a 9th? Expiration date. Has it? Holy crap! Okay? So maybe I might be completely out of touch for the SPY. It looks like you can choose every single day as an expiration date. That is insane. Okay, so let me just do some quick calculations. 1% of 469 would be $4. So just getting, let's just go up $1.50 to 470. If I do that, that's approximately 6 times 8 is 48. So it's actually 1/6 of a percent, and you could do it 5 times a week. So it's really only about 5/6 of a percent a week, but you're investing in the SPY. Let me just go to, if I go like Wednesday. Now this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is kind of freaking me out a little bit. Yeah, you can get like 0.25% if you go to Wednesday. But even if you got 5/6%, let me just pull up the calculator. Okay, the formula for this is you take 1, which is your account, and if you multiply times, if you take that to the 1.01, like, whoops, am I screwing this up? Oh, of course, if you multiply, okay, it's 1.01. Okay, 52 times. If you get 1% a week, you're going to end up with 167% by the end of the year. So you're going to be up 67%. But let's see what 5/6 is. So that's 0.83. So not, instead of 1.01, it would be 1.008. 333, whatever. And raise that to the 52nd power, because we're going to do it every week. So it's fairly similar. It's a little bit less than if you were getting 1% weekly. But if you get 5/6%, oh, wait a minute, though. We're not just doing it 52 times. We're doing it, how many trading days are there a year? I think it's, well, let's ask Grok. How many trading days are there in a calendar? Is it 150? $250. Okay. Let's do that. So it's 1.008333, and we're going to get 252 trading days. Is that right? 1.008. Huh. Okay. Apparently, math is saying you can 8x your money if you did this. Let me just do it again. 1.008. Let's leave off the 33s. And you do this 252 times. Okay, leaving out 3s. Well, about 7. Okay, so I guess the math checks out. I had no idea that you could trade. Like I said before, though, there's going to be a lot of friction. I mean, if you sell, the hell's my window? If you're in the SPY and you sell 1 day of premium, this would get to be a pain in the ass for me to have to do this every day. And let's see, the 470. If I had sold the 470 before, yeah, I mean, I could still buy it back for a penny. So maybe it's not too bad. I don't know. I might have a new strategy for mid-2025 when Bitcoin might be ready to hit the bear market again, and I need some place to put my money that isn't Bitcoin stocks. Okay. I'll have to put that on the back burner. But here's some cheaper stuff. So Mara, I do trade Mara, and going to next week. If you bought 100 shares for $24 each, $2,400, you could get, I mean, if you go up to 25, that's like 4% call away value and a ridiculous like 8% premium. So you could be a little bit less greedy on the premium, go for like 6% premium and go all the way up to 2650 call away value. The premium's kind of sick on Mara right now, but I mean, you could go here and buy 8 more shares of Mara and still have 4% call away value. That's ridiculous to me. Let's see Riot. Riot's a little cheaper for some reason. Like Riot and Mara were the same price a while back. You can see I actually sold a 16.5 strike for next week. And if you bought in here, it's going to cost you $1,500. 1% of that would be, of this strike would be 15 cents. So, I mean, you could go to 16 and get 4% on premium and a whole dollar, which would probably be like 8%, something call away value. So you could go here and end up with 100 shares, 103 shares of, 104 shares of Riot. The real cheap one that I've done a little trading on, but I've been kind of avoiding it until liquidity gets better, is HUT. And I'm sure there's tons of other mining stocks I'm not aware of. I just don't need more problems in my life. So keeping the number of assets down to a minimum is important to me now. I used to trade anything and anything, everything and anything. I would go, actually, I still have I haven't been to this website in quite a long time, but Market Chameleon would be where I would go, and I would filter for implied volatility. The higher the implied volatility, generally the more premium you're going to collect. So I would sell any stock as long as it had decent premium and wasn't going bankrupt. Like if it didn't have bankruptcy news about it, I would trade it. But that's kind of a little bit too much trouble for me now. I'm trying to be more efficient with this. And so I don't like the fact that HUT was $2 very recently. I would not be surprised if it just crashes to 75% of the $15 that it climbed to. So, if it crashed to 5 or 6, it would not surprise me. So I'm just a little nervous about it. However, you can get a metric ass ton of premium off of it. And the bid-ask spread this is the problem. The bid-ask spread is a little too wide. The volume and open interest are too low. So that's the only reason I'm not a fan right now. But I mean, you can get a dollar call away value, which on a $12 stock is like 8%. And you can get like 5% premium. So you could immediately turn around and buy 5 more shares of HUT. So this is definitely viable. If you have an account with 2,500 or less, you could just jump right in there and buy 200 shares of HUT, and you're going to be able to buy another 8 shares a week. How long would that take you to get to 100? Well, like 12 weeks. You have 300 shares. Let's check. So 100 divided by 8. Yeah, 12.5 weeks later, you'd have 300 shares of HUT. And then now you're buying 12 shares a week. So that would be another 8 weeks. So 8 weeks, you got 400 shares. And then now you're buying, so you got 400 shares, you're buying 16 shares a week. Divided by 16. So then it's only going to take you 6 weeks, 6.25 weeks to get another 100 shares. So, like I said, you want to just keep doing that until you get 10,000 shares, and then you're not just buying shares per week, you're buying multiples of 100 shares per week and getting to sell an extra covered call and buy more shares with the premium from that. So to me, this is kind of like easy mode for someone who doesn't know how to pick stocks and doesn't know when to buy the dip and doesn't know when to take profits. This kind of, it's a disciplined way of just doing that without having to do it. You're using these strike prices to do that for you. There's tons of videos on that. Maybe I'll link In the Money's channel. He's my best options teacher. But Kamikaze Cash also has an excellent video on the wheel. So selling his covered calls is just half of the wheel strategy. The other half would be selling puts. So if you don't own any stock yet, you could just sell an at the money put at $11.50. You get paid this premium, which you could use to buy 6-7 shares of stock, but you wouldn't actually buy the 100 shares unless the price went below 11.5 and you were assigned those 100 shares. So not only would you be getting paid this premium, but you'd be kind of getting an extra, what is that, 5% discount if the price drops to 11.5. The downside of that is the price goes up to 15, the only profit you're going to get is this $85. But that's still like 8%, 7-8% ROI for the week. And if you have enough money to sell the $15 put the next week, then maybe you don't care. But I just buy the 100 shares and I just go straight to the covered call portion of the wheel. And I don't know if it has better tax ramifications because I'm not a tax advisor either. But I would assume if you held your 100 shares for over a year, it wouldn't be considered short-term capital gains. So my intention when I buy that 100 shares is to not sell it for at least a year. And after I'm done selling covered calls against it for a year, I mean, if I still believe in that stock, I'll continue to sell covered calls against it forever. And if not, then I'll dump it for something else, which is why even though why Michael Saylor said maybe it's other people, and he's just repeating what they're said, but says there's no second best when it comes to Bitcoin. I would be tempted to argue from a money perspective, his company MSTR is probably a better play than Bitcoin, but it doesn't have all the idealistic stuff that Bitcoin has. But that's why I'm calling myself the red-pilled, orange-pill investor, because if I was just orange-pilled and I had orange-pilled blinders on, then I probably wouldn't be trading in the stock market at all. But with a red-pill perspective, I see a way to generate money that I could use to buy Bitcoin with. So if buying actual Satoshis is your thing, you can use 100 shares of HUT and sell an at-the-money premium or at-the-money strike, collect $100, and now you can go buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. You'd only have to do that for 12 weeks before you paid for the $1,200, and now you're just playing with house money, and you still got 100 shares of HUT, but now you've got $1,200 of Bitcoin as well that you're able to dollar cost average. So you can generate money in the stock market and use it to buy Satoshis if that's your bag, baby. I would, buy and hold for 20 years might be the ultimate best strategy. But for someone who maybe doesn't want to wait that long or wants to just give them a little bit higher chance of success, this is the way to go for me. Let's see. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. So it was fun to play with Grok. And yeah, this is what I do. Every Friday, And that's the other thing that I wanted to mention. Um, there's an old gambling saying that says, I'd rather get rich slowly than lose money quickly. So it's kind of like a blackjack thing where you don't just go all in and bet it all in one hand. You want to make little wins over time if you can find an edge. And that's the way I kind of look at this, is it's not about hitting the lottery. It's about giving yourself a little bit of advantage every week. Just trying to get, actually it just occurred to me that this is almost kind of like an atomic habits principle. So atomic habits says you want to get 1% better every day, which you could actually do in the SPY, selling a covered call against the SPY every day. But, you know, getting 1% better per week is the best that we can do if the expirations are every Friday. So let's just take a look at MSTR, which is the big daddy. And at the beginning of a bull market, which is what I'm basing my assumptions on, might not be, but this is the best play, best Bitcoin play as far as I'm concerned, that I put most of what I can into. And I mean, you can get 1% at $6. I mean, you can get 5% ROI at, you know, selling at the money. There's no call away value in that. But if you wanted 5% call away, you'd have to go up to what, 665? 665, you can still get almost 4% premium and 5% call away value, which you can see I sold a covered call pretty close to that at 670. So I mentioned this in another video. Some people will say, oh, you don't want to trade in out of stocks and you're going to pay all these fees for doing multiple trades, and it'll never match buy and hold, but it's not supposed to. And besides that, I mean, I also have an IRA, and I'm not paying any tax penalties. I can get into MSTR and out of it, and into Tesla and out of it, and into Mara and out of it. I pay fees, of course, but I'm not going to pay taxes on that until I retire or, you know, start taking money out. So there's that as well. But this thing has probably been going on long enough, and I think I said everything that I wanted to get out in this video. So until next time, be good, y'all.